A lot of people have a stereotype idea of what a person that works in a museum does. And I think oftentimes when people let their imagination run wild, they think of a museum professional as somebody perhaps with a tweed suit, smoking a pipe, in the corner reading a book. And museum work is fascinating. It takes you into the field. You're not necessarily in the museum. You're out looking at things. You might find an old artifact that's been abandoned in the woods and figure a way to bring it back if it's worthy of being displayed at a museum. You might be out interviewing someone that's got a lot of institutional knowledge about something, collecting oral interviews, seeking out artifacts. We had a very old home burn in Fayetteville that had a treasure trove of old Fayetteville artifacts and paperwork. And the family said, go on and take what you want. So we ran a step ladder outside the old house, and the side of it was burned off, and we reached into the attic and pulled out many things that we now have added to our collection. The day may involve tours or interviews like I'm doing now, or research, or building an exhibit. This exhibit behind you showing a World War I trench is something that was fabricated by our staff here at the museum. So one day we're in blue jeans with hammer and nail. The next day we're in a suit and tie, doing a tour or a presentation, an off-site presentations. A good example is this one here. This was a back-to-school exhibit as the children, although very limited now with the COVID, returned to school. We thought we would profile early education. So there's always something to learn about, and we try to keep these exhibits fresh, new, and interesting. Every year we feature different aspects of contributions of African Americans in the community. And this year it's early African American medical professionals, so doctors and dentists and veterinarians that came to Fayetteville at an early period and established their businesses here and added so much to the community. We profile the individuals and their contributions.
This is a 1924 fire truck that Fayetteville bought brand new back then, and they added it to the fleet. It was not the only one at the time, but it's a gas-powered fire truck with a pumper. It would pump water onto the fires as well. So this was pulled to the fire by the two horses, and once they got there, hopefully they would have a water source nearby, and they would dip the hose in the water source and squirt water on the fire. Most buildings back then were made of wood, so it was very, very important that they get there as soon as possible. This is Fayetteville's very first fire truck. It goes back to the mid-1880s. It didn't have an engine. It had two horses pulled it where it needed to go. And the big boiler was used to supply energy to the water pump itself. It used steam power. The firebox here activated this to get it going. And they would drive there, and hopefully whoever pulled the box might still be there, or it could be the fires. They'll see the fire. We don't know, but it gave them a point here. About 3 years ago, 3 years ago in September, they found several pieces of equipment that they had been saving as well. They were all stored in the same area, so they brought a lot of what you see now in these cases was brought to us at the same time we got the truck.